Hello, welcome again to the Workshop of Wood Spun Round. This is Doug, and it's good to have you with me today. A while back, I turned a hollow form that my wife laid claim to real quick. At first, she thought it was kind of funny looking, but then I turned a finial and put on it, and she decided she really liked it. That's been a prize for her ever since. That finial, you may have seen it at one time. It was very thin. It was about a 1/16 in diameter for the longest part of the finial. We had protected it. The cats had knocked it off 2 or 3 times and nothing happened to it. She bumps it and it fell to the floor and it broke. She was so upset. I told her, don't worry. I know where we can get another one. And so today I finally took up the time and we're going to make her a new finial for that little hollow form. This is a piece of walnut that is on the lathe. You can see there I forgot to take my wedding band off, so I pulled it off as soon as I noticed it and put it in my pocket as it should be. But we're turning a piece of walnut. It's very, very dry. But as you will see here in a little bit, I get doing some fine turning here and get some really nice shavings coming off of this piece of walnut. We've got it roughed down. We're starting to work toward this is the very tip end that I'm working at right now. Back toward the headstock will be the base and the tenon that'll go down into the hollow form. We're using a Doug Thompson 1/2-inch bowl gouge here. I like this bowl gouge. It just feels good in my hand. It works well. It sharpens up and holds its edge for quite a while. You can see here I got more of a point on it now. I'm going to readjust the tool rest so I can get in closer. Working on this little point. It's going to be reduced significantly before it's over. Turn the speed up there a bit as well. We're up somewhere in the neighborhood of 1800 RPMs. Just helps the tool to go through the wood just a little easier when it's going faster. You can see there I'm getting real nice shavings coming off the tool. Working down just the very tip for right now. I want the bulk behind me so I don't have any vibration where I'm working. And anytime I'm working with a piece that's free on the tailstock end like this, when I'm not using the tailstock, I want to work from the tailstock end back toward the headstock. And that is because I don't want vibration, and this just helps me. Again, you see some real nice shavings there that we're building up. I'm working that stem down. You can see there I'm working down real thin. I'm not going down to a 1/16. These are about 3/32 thereabouts, maybe a little less. They're not the stem ends up not being quite an 1/8. I put a tape measure on at the very end, and it is a little less than an 1/8, so it's probably about 3/32. You see here I'm stopping with the turning. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of sanding. I'm going to start here with 100. I just showed you the 100 grit. I'm going to go all the way up to 320. I'm not going to show you all of that. In fact, I'm not going to show you all of the 100 grit. I do all the elements there. I just finished the 240 and I'm going on here to the 320 grit. And like I have been doing, I'm going to start at the tip. I'm going to work each element and work my way all the way back to this unturned portion. Getting it nice and smooth. There's no tool marks there. There's no gouges in the wood, nothing like that. It's just real nice and smooth. So we'll bring the tailstock or the tool rest back up and work down a bit further. Here again, you're going to see some nice ribbons. I'm just kind of going straight in, removing some bulk here. I was kind of having some fun watching the ribbons just peel off. Good sharp tool, presented well, slicing through the wood instead of gouging through it, and those ribbons come off really nicely. I've kind of changed directions here. I'm working on the lower portion. This is a semi-onion on the bottom of this finial. It'll go into a waist, and then there will be a kind of a domed area that'll go down actually onto the hollow form. There'll be a little tenon on the base of this, underneath this little dome, that'll go down into the opening of the hollow form. Just measuring, took the old one there and just kind of held it up to see where I needed to be. I'm not trying to be exact. In fact, we threw away the very top portion of the finial. And so this is just a new rendition of the finial that was there. Trying to get that under part, that lower part of the onion, the top part of the dome, and there's a little waist in between. I was wanting to do this with as few tools as possible. I kind of get in that mood a lot of times, and so this 1/2-inch bowl gouge is going to do a lot. I'm going to pull out my 1/2-inch skew here in just a moment. That'll help me out. Then I'll also use the detail gouge. Again, it's a Doug Thompson detail gouge. It lets me get in real tight with a gouge type of tool, but it's a finer tip. Here's that 1/2-inch skew that I'm using. That helps me get the lower part of this kind of sort of an onion. It's not quite as rounded on the top as most onions are. I left a little bit of a, it's not really a ridge, it's rounded over, but it's not it's not a sudden change, but it's a pretty sharp change between the convex curve on the top and the concave curve on the top and the convex curve on the bottom. And here I'm working at trying to get that waist established. I'm going to have to get my detail gouge in there. In fact, at one point I let the skew catch just a little bit, got a little bit of a run back, so I have to use my detail gouge to kind of fix that. I fix some of it with the skew, but I finish it with the detail gouge here in just a couple of minutes. Putting it away, and I'm pulling out the detail gouge. There we go. Again, a Doug Thompson. That's a 3/8 detail gouge, I do believe is what that is. And it does a real nice job for me. Just looking on the Doug Thompson site the other day, I want to regrind this. My grind has gotten cattywampus on this thing just a little bit, and so I need to regrind it, get it back into shape. It still works really well. I'm really tickled with it, but the old grind worked a little better, and so we want to get back to that. Trying to feel, I haven't turned the lathe off to see if I've gotten all that run back out of there yet, but I was feeling a little bit on it, so I've gone back and I'm working on it. In fact, eventually I do turn the lathe off, and I see that I still had not gotten that out, so I had to go back yet again and work on that. Just ferrying out the curve on the bottom side of this onion, working into that waist area between the onion and the dome. Ferry out that concave curve there on the top of the onion going into the stem of the finial. There's where I'm stopping, and oops, there is a line there. I've got to go back. I'm not quite done. it's those little lines. If sometimes we have to stop the lathe and just take a real good look, see if there's something we need to do before we go back or go in and do our final sanding. And I'll do kind of the same thing. I'll pick up where I left off, about 2/3 of the way down that stem with my 100 grit, and I'll go up to 320. See the sandpaper still laying there on my bedways. Gonna go in and just clean up that little waste. It's kind of tough to get into that waste. It's pretty small. Just a little scrape there, just to noticing a little lump, I think, and just wanted to get that out. I was talking Wednesday with Worldwide Woodturners. Even as we get older, we learn what we're looking for in these kinds of things, and so we're able to see a little easier than we could when we're newer turners. We're not sure what we're looking for, so we feel. I can still feel a problem long before I can see it usually, and but still I am able. I have learned what to look for so that I can take care of some problems. I know there's a problem even before I turn it off, and I can fix those. Then I can turn it off, get those fine details that I could not see. Again, we've gone back to 100 grit, going to all the way through the grits, 100, 150, 240, 320. Doesn't take a lot of sanding because it took the time and got a real good cut, got a good slicing cut for the most part. A little bit of scraping to take care of some details, but for the most part it was slicing cuts to get where we are. Then the sanding went real quick. Very carefully, very lightly going back up to the top just to make sure that's well sanded, which it was. It's our rooster that we got inadvertently. Meant to buy all hens, and this one turns out to be a rooster. So, and he crows day and night. I keep telling him his clock's wrong, but he doesn't believe it. All right. I want to grab my calipers just to make sure. I want to get my tenon right before I start to part it off. This is, of course, the tenon that will go down into the opening in the top of the hollow form. It's kind of important that it's not too big. If it's too big, I have to get my hollow form and sand it after I take this off. So I want to get it right. And so I measure by the old tenon that I know what went in, and this one will be just a breath smaller than the original tenon. We're there with that, and then if I'm not mistaken, I go ahead and start my parting cut below the tenon while I'm here. So it's all sanded, it's ready to go. If I'm not mistaken, I'm grabbing my axe. No, I'm not. I'm grabbing the sanding sealer. I'm gonna give it a spray with sanding sealer, which will be the base for coming in with my axe abrasive paste. I just showed you the label there. I finished the old jar that had the label fall off of it. This is a new jar. Still has the label on it. I'm excited about that, so I can actually show you what I'm using very lightly because I have already started my parting cut, which to start it was fine, but I went a little too far with it. The abrasive paste is on there. I'm going to work it very carefully, trying not to put any pressure on that little small parting section there. I've got that parting section very small. It's as small, if not smaller, than the stem of this finial. Everything's going fine. We come back up to the top. I'm getting it. It's looking good. I'm on a clean section of the paper towel. This worked off really quickly. I was surprised how quickly it worked off, actually. You can see that walnut just looks beautiful as it begins to take the finish. It's sanded down to a nice, it's coming up on 1,000 at this point with the abrasive paste. Still trying to be very light, very gentle with buffing this off, letting the lathe and the paper towel do all the work. I'm just holding it, but I was holding it just a little too tight. and it jumps off. No harm done. That's where I had parted it down to about a 1/16. I don't know how it was staying on the more I think about it. So I wanted to rub it just a little more, make sure all that abrasive paste is off of there before I put a little wax on it. I am still going to put some wax on it. When I hold it, I'm just going to do it by hand. Not even going to try to hold it in a chuck or anything. Going to trim that little nub off, but that little 1/4 inch skew is not sharp enough. So we're going to get something that's a bit better. There's a knife, and it does the job. Go get a little sandpaper and just rub the bottom of this finial across this sandpaper a few strokes just to smooth that out. This is staying here at our house. It's not going anywhere. But I don't want somebody to come in and look at that, and they will look at that and say, oh, it's not quite finished or something of that nature. So just rubbing it off, making sure it's good and done. Let's grab some wax. There it is. The Axe Polishing Restoring Paste Wax. This is a carnauba-based wax. And I just realized I've been saying Tom and Annette's name wrong. I've been saying Ackley. That's not right. It's Ackley. Tom and Annette Ackley in Pennsylvania, making a real fine product here. Laboratory tested, laboratory grade ingredients, and so they are pure. Both the abrasive paste and the wax are food safe, and so you can use these products with all confidence. You don't have anything to worry about. As much as I like as much as I like walnut oil, even that, people have a fear of it just because it is a nut oil. And so some people, even though it's been processed, the proteins have been cooked off, they've been filtered out, they still have an issue. And so this just is guaranteed food safe. Just showing you there, this thing is 3 inches tall. It's about, like I said, 3/32 wide, very, very thin. We'll have some stills for you here in just a minute. If you would hit the like button and the subscribe button, those two things will help me tremendously, help the channel tremendously. And I tell you what, if you really want to help the channel out, two other things you can do. One is put a comment in the comment section, a question, say hi, anything like that. But also, if you will share the video with on your social media. Here are their stills. Just wanted you to see it up close and personal. And I tell you what, until we are able to see each other once again, I hope you're able to spin them round. This is Doug at Wood Spun Round.